Well, Mark McCalvey on the far side, and we've got a guest joining us in the middle, Brodie Barrick, the player recruitment, player services, you name it, joining the Ontario Hockey. A player, was a player in the Ontario Hockey League. Take us back to what was your day in terms of the OHL priority selection and what you remember.
Yeah, it seems like it was just yesterday. Really, I can't believe it's all the way back to 2010 now, but. Such an exciting time, for myself and my family to go through, and obviously all of our players who've been selected so far and will be continued to be selected. So it's a special day. It's really the start of your time in the OHL and your OHL career, but the work kind of just begins now, and it's a lot of fun going through this process, obviously. But again, we've heard it how many times already today. The number where you're selected is really just a number until today, and then you go into training camp and put the work in and go make the team, and that number doesn't matter anymore. So
no, what was it like for you? We were all in one day, so we started at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think we were on the broadcast for the first few rounds. You were taken, I know, after the broadcast was off. Were you sitting, watching intently from the broadcast and watching names update? What were you doing that morning?
Yeah, we were. I was following it along pretty closely. Obviously, it's an exciting time, and so. Seeing guys you play against be picked, and I actually was the only player taken from my team. But yeah, I was followed it pretty intently. It was a long kind of morning into the afternoon before my name finally got called, but super exciting time. I mean, to have your name pop up and an OHL team select you is an incredible feeling, something I still, look back on, and every day, every year on draft day, kind of get the excitement that I'm going through it again. So it's a lot of fun.
Let's go back, though, leading up to that draft day, the season that developed. At what point was the OHL on your radar? And as that season went along, were you peeking up in the stands? Was it on your mind? Did it weigh you down at all? Or was it something that you were able to kind of put to the side and just focus on your game?
Yeah, I tried to enjoy it as much as possible. I went into the year really with no expectations. Obviously, it's your draft year, and so you think about it, and you see all the scouts in the stands and the packed rinks at the Marlies tournament and all of these things. And so, yeah, you think about it, but I tried to just go out and enjoy the moment. It's something that, I was fortunate enough to go through and obviously be selected in the end, but just tried to take it all in as much as I could. And, it's really the one piece of advice I give to the players that I'm talking to now, to enjoy the process. It can, really bog you down if you let it, but if you just enjoy it and go out and have fun playing the game of hockey, things usually work out better that way anyways.
Did you think, as you were watching the priority selection that morning, thinking, hey, I want to get a chance to play in the OHL and maybe sit on that show one day, which you're doing right now?
Yeah, that definitely was right up there too. Play in the league and then be at this desk, kind of go hand in hand. So.
Well, let's talk about the role you're in now. You've officially joined the OHL from a player. You were doing some scouting previously as well. But actually, even before getting involved in this, let's talk about the OHL education program, because it's something that I know parents and players ask you about now in this role, but you've lived it. You've gone through it. And what has that meant for you?
Yeah, I think, looking back on my time in the league, obviously it was great to play in the best junior hockey league in the world, but something I don't think I realized as I was heading into the league is how much our teams and our league invest in our players' future afterwards. And so to be able to have my education paid for after my time playing in the OHL is, took a big burden off my parents. And I remember, the day I signed my contract, everyone's excited that I'm going to play in the OHL, and my parents were happy that they were going to have education paid for. And at the time, again, as a younger kid, you don't really think much of that. But to have that opportunity now and looking back on it, it's incredible what our teams are able to do and the amount of money that we invest in our players' future. And so, at the very minimum, our players who play in our league receive 1 year of books, tuition, and fees at recognized institutions for every year played in the league. And so again, if you play 4 years in our league, you get an undergraduate degree paid for, and it's something that, we're really fortunate enough to be able to access, and our players, kind of get the best of both worlds between, again, playing in the best junior hockey league in the world and having an education taken care of afterwards. And also while playing in our league, our teams cover those costs as well. So we have guys who, can knock off a year or two of their undergraduate degree while playing in the league, and then utilize that scholarship package afterwards to start their masters and really take it as far as they can. And so the amount of, again, money that our teams invest is a huge number, in the millions every year, that we're able to provide to our players in their future. It's really awesome.
So when you're out there now in your current role, I would imagine when you start talking to not the players, but maybe their parents, those eyes probably really pop when you bring up the education packages.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that, again, they love that their sons are going to be able to play in our league and experience the hockey side of things. But looking at it realistically, not everyone obviously can make a career of hockey and make millions of dollars. And so to have that education taken care of, the parents' eyes, you see them light up when you really go into the dollars and cents of how it works and what they're able to get out of it. So a lot of exciting questions from the parents on how it all works and things like that. And I think our players coming into the draft have done a good job as well, understanding the importance of education, not only while playing in our league, but beyond. So, yeah.
And you mentioned it there. I've seen players over the years. I can think of Nathan Charletti and Daniel Broussard, who took university classes while playing in the OHL, which were covered, of course, by the Ontario Hockey League and their team, the Sarnia Sting at the time, and then obviously when they graduated the OHL, continue right along through, get their undergraduate. Charletti now, I don't know if he's officially a doctor yet. If he's not, he's very close to it.
Multiple doctor.
Yeah, he's a lot smarter than me. That's all I know from that standpoint. And being able to see that, and I'm sure, as you were around your teammates at the time, it's probably one of those where it allowed everybody to kind of focus on hockey, obviously do well in the classroom, but knowing there's people that are 18, 17 years old, they're having to work part-time jobs. Like, how am I going to pay for schooling? You're allowed to sort of concentrate on hockey, do well in the classroom, but knowing that education is going to be paid for, where your equivalent's probably someone maybe you grew up with and went to high school with before, thinking, well, how am I going to pay for university? I want to go. That's taken care of.
For sure, and it's an incredible privilege, like I mentioned, that our players and their families were able to alleviate some of that burden, educational costs being what they are. And so to see it, written in the contract, the dollar amounts that our players are going to take advantage of, it's, again, not an insignificant amount of money. And I took some courses while I played too, university courses while in Sarnia, and it was nice because we had, guys on the team taking the same course, and we'd be at the back of the bus doing some studying on the way home from a road game or something. And so it creates that bond, outside of hockey too. It allows you to take your mind away from the game a little bit if you need to, and focus on some education and keep you sharp. For a guy like myself who went on to use my education package afterwards to kind of be fresh in school mode, and it wasn't too much of a shock afterwards, taking a few years off school. So our teams do a really good job, encouraging and recommending our players to continue taking courses while playing in our league, even after they've graduated high school, to ensure that they're staying fresh and there's a structure in their day aside from the hockey part of it, which is, we know a huge part of playing in our league, but it gives that structure to do some other things as well.
As Brodie Barrick is with us here alongside Mark McKelvey, I'm Terry Doe. Let's bring up some of the notable round 7 selections over the years, and there's some familiar names. You look around and a couple goaltenders on there. Some guy, Barrick, Sarnia Sting, 2010.
Don't know how I snuck on there under Mark Scheifele, but I'll take it. So.
Yeah, let's see. Domi, Burnett, McKenzie, Renault, Wedgwood, Barrick,
yeah, one
McDermott,
of these things is not like the other, but that's okay.
Hey, I'm sure it's nice to see that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But, we've talked about it. It's been a theme. We talked to Darryl Woodley about it as well. I'm sure there were goaltenders that were taken higher than you during your priority selection, but you probably got a chance to into camp, and, coaching staff at the time probably didn't label you as, oh, you're the 7th round pick. We're going to give more ice time to the 3rd round pick. Goaltending is a little bit different, but I'm sure even your teammates at the time going into rookie camp and development camp, knowing, okay, we're now coming in, we're getting an opportunity.
Yeah, like I said, and I'm not the first one to say it today, and I probably won't be the last. Once you get into training camp and you throw that practice jersey on, there's no number on the back, and you go in and show the work you've put in over the summer since your draft to training camp, and that's when the real fun and the real work begins, getting out there and proving you have what it takes to play in our league. And again, it may take some guys a little bit longer than others, but we have a long time to play in our league, the 5 years of eligibility. And so, a guy like myself, it took me 2 years before I was able to break into the league. And again, I look back on those times incredibly fondly. It was the highest moment of my hockey career playing in the OHL. And so it doesn't matter, again, if you're a 7th round pick like me or a 1st round pick, if you go in and put the work in and show up ready to play and prove that you have what it takes to play in our league and on the team that selected you, you're going to get that chance.
So you look at that list right there. You see your name. You made it to the Ontario Hockey League. But go back to that first training camp. What was maybe the big wow, I'm here moment? Do you have one that you can draw back on? And I would imagine that having that experience when you're talking to players that are looking at coming to the Ontario Hockey League, being able to give them that firsthand experience is just so valuable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you said, my first training camp, just to see the skill and the speed of the game, and especially with guys who, were a lot older than me at that time. And so kind of, starstruck really at that moment, showing up to a new OHL arena for the first time, and, being a part and just wearing the OHL logo on your chest. And the guys shot a lot harder than I was used to, and they could pick those corners a lot quicker. A guy like Nail Yakupov or Alex Galchenyuk coming down on 16-year-old,
Not bad.
16-year-old me. I think we know how that ended up. But even looking back at my first orientation camp, Sarnia did their awards night that night, and I'll remember, Kyle Neuber went up and won an award. I think it might have been for Overage Player of the Year, and he went up and gave a speech about, obviously it's a great accomplishment for all the guys who won awards that night, but he said, my parents would have been more proud of me if I won the educational award tonight. And so that really, instilled in me the importance of education, in addition to obviously playing in the best junior hockey league in the world, and really that balance, and kind of pushed me forward to ensure that, I'm going to get a chance hopefully at some point to play in the OHL, but to ensure that my education is at the forefront of my mind too. And hopefully I'd like to think I was successful in doing that afterwards. And so, those are kind of some of the things that stick out to me from my time, first training camps and things like that.
You and I kind of talk about it when we get a chance to catch up on a regular basis, but the guy over Mark's shoulder right now, I'm sure you probably, as from a goaltender, you have a few nightmares about him, but at the same time, how cool was it knowing you were playing in the Ontario Hockey League, with and against guys who've gone on to star in the NHL, like this young McDavid fellow. He's done well for himself.
Yeah, he's done pretty good. I remember his name. He probably doesn't remember the goals he scored on me. It's just
he scored a few.
The long list of goals that he's scored in his career. But yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's cool for me, to go back into OHL arenas and remember the games you played there. And I was a goalie and let some goals in, but those are cool moments still for me. I mean, McDavid scored a highlight reel goal on us one night in Sarnia, and it played on the World Junior Preview for 3 weeks on TSN, and I'd get texts of guys, I saw you get scored on again. But for me, I was on TSN for 3 weeks, so it was an awesome, kind of cool experience. And just to see, McDavid obviously at the top of the game, but the long list of guys that I was fortunate enough to play with and against who have gone on to do great things in the NHL and the AHL, and go on to do good things in education and the jobs they're working now. So just to kind of, play a small role in the history of the OHL, and obviously, again, incredibly fortunate for what I was able to accomplish in the game of hockey.
And the friendships I would imagine that you're able to form, whether those players and those teammates go on to the NHL, the American League, pro in Europe, or they go out of hockey and they find another path. I'm sure you stay in touch with many of them.
Yeah, for sure. I think, one thing being in my current role in the director of player recruitment, something that I try to pass along to the players coming into our league is how important the relationships you make along the way are. And for me, that's really the biggest thing I was able to take from the game of hockey, is the relationships that I made along the way, whether it be teammates or billets or trainers on your teams. Everyone plays a role in the success that we're able to have as players and beyond. And so the relationships that I've made along the way, I still am really good friends with a lot of the guys that I played with and played against as well. And so I'm fortunate enough with the relationships I've been able to make, and hopefully something that I can instill in some of the players coming into our league to really cherish those relationships. And it's hard to stay in touch with all the teammates that you played with over the years, but to make an effort to do so and kind of live in the moment a little bit more.
Before we let you go, you've got a chance to talk to a lot of players and families in this role, and we see people that are probably going to be watching us today that are maybe coming up to next year's process. Before we let you go, what message do you have for them, about the Ontario Hockey League, about the education program? What sort of message do you have for them as we wrap things up?
Yeah, kind of a few messages. I think the first one, and we touched on it a little bit, to enjoy the process. Obviously, it can be stressful times. You're heading into your draft year, and there's a lot of uncertainty on what yesterday and today is going to hold for the players. So enjoying the process, being there for your teammates, and ensuring that everyone enjoys it together, I think goes a long way. I think I would echo the messages we've heard a lot to, being drafted is a dream come true for all of our players, but the work really starts now. You go into training camp and prove you have what it takes to play in our league and make the roster. It's something that, effort really goes a long way. And so I would say that message to continue working hard. And, we, I think, get into the debate a lot about the OHL versus the NCAA and versus school, but we develop student athletes in our league, and so education again is at the forefront of our mind. I think it's highlighted by our CHL scholarship package and the money and the resources we're able to invest in our players' futures while playing in our league and beyond. And so to ensure that players and their families know how much of an importance we place on education, developing not just great hockey players on the ice, but kids in the classroom, kids in the communities. It's more than just hockey, and I think I'm proud to be a part of that in developing our future players, future students, and whatever they may do moving forward.
Well, good to see you. You and I, of course, go back to your days playing in
back.
the Ontario Hockey League, so it's good to see you, and congratulations. Proud of, obviously, picking up your degree, going through education program into this role, and certainly proud of you for that. And we'll see lots more of you down the road. Probably see you right back here this time next year.
For sure, yeah. It's great to obviously be on here. And like you said, we go way back to the Sting days, so it's nice to kind of come full circle and be up here talking about the draft.
Thanks for the time.
Thanks.
Brodie Barrick, the Director of Player Recruitment for the Ontario Hockey League.